As pressure mounts on Tehran, Beijing is stepping forward with a clear signal of support. China says Iran has a legitimate right to the peaceful use of nuclear energy and warns against force, sanctions, and escalation. Assistant Foreign Minister Liu Bin told Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi in Beijing that China will continue pushing for what it calls a proper resolution of the Iranian nuclear issue, as tensions between Iran and the United States remain dangerously high. The message is unmistakable. Beijing is backing diplomacy and pushing back against pressure. This comes as Russia is warning that the situation between Iran and the United States is no longer just tense, it is explosive. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said the region is littered with what he calls time bombs, waiting to be triggered by a single misstep. Moscow, he insists, will not impose itself as a mediator between Iran, Israel, or the United States, but admits the stakes stretch far beyond Tehran, threatening the entire Middle East. Lavrov warns that one clumsy move could ignite consequences no one can control.
Right now, we are not forcing ourselves as middlemen to Israel or Iran or the United States. In our contacts with them, we just discuss this situation. Iran is our partner, close partner and neighbor, and of course we care about how things develop now. Especially this situation is potentially explosive not only for Iran itself, but for the entire Middle East. There are too many mines waiting to go off, just waiting for someone to tread on them. And I think Israel and America and Iran knows that we are ready to contribute to solving the situation and to observing the agreements previously achieved.
At the same time, a significant shift is emerging behind the scenes. According to a New York Times report, Iran has agreed to discuss not only its nuclear program, but also its missile capabilities and its ties to militant groups, a key demand from Washington. However, an Iranian official denied all reports, claiming the NYT and Al Jazeera have a biased agenda. He added that there had been no change in Iran's position. The talks, set to take place in Oman, come after concessions on both sides. The United States has reportedly agreed to keep the negotiations limited in scope and free of regional involvement. Iran, in turn, has agreed to sit across the table from American officials, a step officials say was not guaranteed. On Wednesday, Iran's top military commander stepped inside an underground missile base operated by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Cameras followed Major General Abdul Rahim Musavi as he inspected rows of weapons carved into rock. And for the first time, Iranian state-linked footage revealed something new. A long-range Khorramshahr 4 missile, a heavy warhead system, displayed inside an underground facility. The images were meant to be broadcast on Iranian state television. They never aired. Just hours later, state TV abruptly pulled the report, citing national security considerations.
I would like to inform you that a report concerning the unveiling of yet another one of the IRGC's missile series, which was originally scheduled to be broadcast tonight during the 8:30 and 9:00 news segments, will not be aired. This decision is due to the strict observance of military and security considerations. But I would like to inform you that the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, who, accompanied by the Commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force, personally inspected the full readiness of one of the strategic missile units belonging to the IRGC Aerospace Force. He then stated, Iran has significantly strengthened its deterrent power by comprehensively upgrading its ballistic missiles across all technical dimensions. Major General Musavi emphasizing the fact that we stand prepared to counter any and all actions initiated by the adversary stated, following the 12-day conflict, we conducted a thorough revision of our defensive doctrine. We then transformed it into an offensive doctrine, which is now founded upon an approach of rapid, far-reaching operations incorporating asymmetric and overwhelmingly decisive military strategies.
As China calls for restraint and diplomacy, and Washington and Tehran edge toward talks, the path ahead remains narrow. because any breakdown here would not just derail negotiations, it could redraw the balance of power across the Middle East. And once again, the world is watching what happens next.
Russia is reopening a nuclear option, just days before Iran and the United States sit down for talks. Moscow says the removal of Iran's enriched uranium is still on the table. Russia's foreign ministry confirms it once offered Iran to export Iran's stockpiles to Russian territory and says that offer has not been withdrawn. But the decision, Moscow stresses, rests with Tehran alone.
So I would refer you to that material. And I believe that we will simply have to wait until it is published. It will happen today. And here is my second question, referring to Iran. Press Secretary of the Russian President Dmitry Peskov said that the topic about the supply of Iranian-enriched uranium is being discussed, has been discussed for quite a long. Can you tell us, are there any talks ongoing about Russia's importation of enriched uranium to Russia? Well, you know, Russia once suggested to import uranium to Russia, the remnant uranium. Currently, this topic is still on the table, but you need to take into account that these reserves belong to Iran. It does not contradict Iranian obligations about non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. It is up to Iranians to decide on where to export it, whether to export it or not. Should they decide to export it, it is up to them to decide where to supply it. As for our stance on this matter, it is well known to all the interested parties. It has remained unchanged. We have always been committed to finding exclusively diplomatic and political solutions. We are hopeful that during the Friday meeting between the high representatives of Iran and our officials in Istanbul will help us to find solutions and to avoid any further escalation. We believe that any pressure exerted on Iran will not result in any positive solutions, and we hope that we will be able to avoid that. Thank you.
Iran is sending a very different message. Zakharova's comments come a day after advisor to Iran's supreme leader said there is no reason to transfer the country's highly enriched uranium abroad ahead of high-stakes negotiations with the U.S. He added that Iran does not seek nuclear weapons, will not seek a nuclear weapon, and will never stockpile nuclear weapons. But you, the United States, must pay a price in return for this.
Consequently, the entire discussion, the whole debate is exclusively and solely and strictly with the United States of America. This entire conversation is exclusively and solely and strictly focused on the nuclear issue. Regarding the nuclear issue itself, there is a genuine possibility that a mutual agreement can be reached. Fundamentally, negotiation is possible. That's point one, provided that there is no atmosphere of threat, no words of threat, no tools of threat, and that it takes place at a fair negotiating table.
A negotiation involving two parties. It is reliant upon.
We need to reach a mutual understanding between us as soon as possible. My 60% can be brought down, for instance, to 20% through dilution. If you are concerned about the 60%, it is possible to dilute it. But this comes with a price, and that price must be fully paid. There is no reason for this. When the cause of concern can be addressed and resolved, then it should be transferred abroad.
It remains trapped under the rubble, and we have not made any attempt yet to recover it from beneath all the heavy debris. No effort has been made whatsoever so far, because it is a very dangerous task to try and perform. We haven't fundamentally explained what our new situation entails.
Are Israel and America even two?
Israel and America are not two, they are one.
It is a completely false assumption to believe that America would launch an attack and Israel would not be involved. It is fundamentally wrong. If America initiates a strike, Israel will absolutely be a participant in that action. Therefore, it must also receive a response that is proportionate to its involvement. We are not seeking nuclear weapons, nor are we possessing nuclear weapons, nor will we, so to speak, weaponize our facilities for nuclear weapons.
You should also provide your compensation.
Senior Iranian lawmakers say the Islamic Republic will not retreat, not on uranium enrichment, not on its missile program, and not on its regional alliances. They call these non-negotiable red lines, and they say American pressure has been exhausted. No concessions, no rollbacks, no recognition of Israel. Uranium removal remains an option. Iran's defiance remains firm, and as the talks begin, the gap between the two sides has never looked wider.